Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Jabroni Show.
Sweet. You have a new name, the Four Jabroni Show.
It's the Four Jabroni Show special. Just kidding. Guys Roundtable Show. We took a 2-week little hiatus for the holidays and other things because, we need a break. I don't want to look at these ugly faces every week. Well, at least not every week, 52 weeks a year, whatever. Right.
Fair enough.
Whatever, man. Like, I got the DX chop for you, okay? Just like the Sixers did on yesterday's game.
Triple H rang the bell at the Sixers game.
Yes, and then, of course, they lost.
Yes, they did. That's kind of a surprise to me, but it is
a little surprise too.
Yeah,
very young and that team is they're on a streak right now. They're Trae Young's relishing in this playoffs right now. So
yeah, and we'll talk. We're going to talk more about basketball and stuff. But how was your guys' weekend? How was your Memorial Day weekend? Not Labor Day, Memorial Day. You guys do anything?
Yeah, we went to a picnic on Memorial Day. I drank more than I usually do, so I had 3 beers. So
he fell on the ground. He did a face plant in the ground.
I was grilling most of that time, so I was okay.
He was up in the ante that day.
Seriously, that's probably the most I've drank in over a year. So
Jesus God. I turned 144 years old, so I'm living life at 144. So yeah, other than that, to be honest with you, I took an extended weekend because work's been just a shit show. So took an extended weekend. I got the Lego Jeep Creator for my birthday. So I started putting that together with my son. So we started putting that together. So it's about halfway done. Oh, no, I'm lying. A quarter of a way done. But yeah, it's been fun. Just took a nice weekend off and really didn't do much, to be honest.
When's the big day, Pat? When's the big day, Pat?
July 1st.
Okay.
July 1st. You are going to be
3.5 weeks.
In a bachelor pad, baby. This is going to be so much fun. I want to come back up to PA now just for this. I just so want to.
I think you'll be disappointed.
I want to make your...
That's what she said.
Nice.
I just need to throw you a house, an apartment warming party. That's what we really need to do. That's what we really need to do. This will be a lot of fun.
We'll take some of Bobby Lashley's hose.
So I
could find some better than that, but that's okay.
So Pat's moving to a new apartment soon, but I got to tell you about my weekend, my Memorial Day weekend. So I've been playing basketball. Well, I was playing basketball with my nephew and having a good time playing basketball with him and his buddies.
Uh-oh.
And needless to say, I played Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then I went out and played Thursday. So I've been playing a lot. Like,
be dead.
Yeah, because they play full court too. It's not like half court.
I'd definitely be dead. I remember playing full court with them. 2 games was too much.
Yeah, because all they do is run up and down the court. Like, there's no organization to it. Like if you get somebody that actually knows how to play the game, like, the other team's in trouble. But they I went up to block a kid, and I came down, and I was like, oh shit. I was like, ow, that hurt. And I don't know what it was in my knee, but it was my knee. And that's what scares me the most. Because I've never, like, all the years I played sports, twisted ankles, jammed fingers, all that shit. Never hurt a knee. Never had even an inkling of a sore knees after playing for that long, but never hurt a knee.
Two of us know, well, Joe more than anybody, but me and Joe know a little bit about this.
So I was like, oh shit. And like, I still played. I didn't do much jumping. I just kind of went up and down the court. And
the adrenaline's still flowing then too, usually. Yeah. You don't realize it till a couple hours later.
Yeah, but I woke up stiff, and I'm guessing it was like an outside ligament on my knee, but it's getting better. But I was like, it better start getting better because if it not, I'm going to the doctor. Like I'm getting my knee checked out because I do not want to have a problem.
Have you been icing it or doing any of that or putting heating pad, any of that?
Just stretching and stuff like that, but no ice or anything.
You'll know if it's a tear because it will fucking hurt.
Yeah.
It will legit hurt. You will have pain shooting up and down your leg. It's insane. Yeah. Well, both times I did it, that's all you feel, like is extreme like pain.
Can you walk? Does it hurt or to walk or not?
The first day, like afterwards, and this is funny because on Friday we were going down to Delaware for our Memorial Day weekend and for a wedding. So when I went down the stairs and I put the pressure on my left knee, it hurt like hell. When I went up the stairs and tried to climb with my left knee, it hurt like hell.
Okay.
So, but it doesn't hurt anymore like doing that stuff. But like when I was mowing yesterday, because I was pulling back and going forward, like it evidently overworked it because my knee was sore like pretty much the rest of the day.
Yeah, you might have strained it or something like that, overextended it per se.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, you probably did something more like what I did than what Joe did. Like you're probably more towards something that I did.
Well, yeah, and that's what I was thinking. But when you haven't ever hurt a knee or anything like that, like a major, I was like, it's my God. I'm like, no, if I hurt myself, if I really have a major injury, I was like, I'm officially old and I can't play basketball anymore.
You might have to wear a brace when you play going forward, Jeremy.
Yeah, I might get one. My wife suggested I get one. She's like, maybe you should get a brace because I don't want to stop playing basketball. I told Joe the other day, I was like, I want to play until I can't play anymore because it's the one thing I enjoy to do the most as far as the sport and can play, and I don't have to be super good. I'm mediocre, and that's cool. Like it works.
Yeah, I've kind of given up on that one.
I know.
I don't want to have to start golfing because that's what comes after golfing.
Yeah, but so yeah, our Memorial Day weekend, we went down to Delaware for a wedding, and it was a nice wedding, but the weekend sucked because it rained all fucking weekend. I was like, son of a bitch. So that sucked.
You were down in Rehoboth, right? Or by Rehoboth?
Yeah, we were in Rehoboth Beach. Yep. For the weekend.
I like that place. That's good. That's a good place to go.
And see, I was to Bethany Beach last year because that's my family started vacationing down there. They my mom and dad rented a beach house, and now we're going back this year in July. And I actually like Bethany Beach better than Rehoboth. Rehoboth is, I don't know. I don't like the way the town's set up. I do like the main strip.
Set up a little weird.
Well, I can't go straight to get to anywhere.
No, you can't.
I'm like, okay, if I go down this road,
you can't.
No, you got to go down this road, and you got to turn right, and then you got to turn left, and then you can go on this. I'm like, oh my God, like I seriously didn't get lost, but I missed the turn every single time I went somewhere. Every single time I missed the turn, I'm like, son of a bitch.
Yeah, that part does suck.
Yeah.
But overall, I like the beach there. It's a nice area.
It was nice. We just couldn't go on the beach. Like it was raining so much. And like they were supposed to have the wedding on the beach. And that day they're like, it's pouring out and the water's coming all the way up to the edge. And they're like, we don't think we're going to have the wedding on the beach. And then by 4:00 it stopped raining. It was cold as shit. It was 52 degrees with a wind chill on the beach. But we sat out there and they had their beach wedding on the beach. In your
parkas.
Oh my God. I had not a parka. I probably would have loved to have a parka, but yeah, I had a light sweatshirt on. My son had a light sweatshirt on. Both my one daughter had a jean jacket on. The other one had like a little throw over thing. Everybody was freezing, and I felt worse for the bridesmaids. And my wife was one of the bridesmaids because bridesmaids dress, there's no sleeves on them. There's they don't have throwovers or anything to cover their arms, and they didn't wear shoes down on the beach, which was the smart idea because your sandals would just got stuck in the beach anyways. But I was like, I feel really bad for you.
It's one of those things. Yeah, I noticed the weather wasn't that great up there when I was during the weekend.
Yeah,
it rained down here, but overall it was 70s, 80s. We were good.
Yeah, and it could have rained and been 70, 80s, and I would have been freaking happy. But no, it got down to the 50s. I was like, this is stupid.
Yeah, that's not good.
And then, of course, yesterday I got sunburned. So, was out there mowing the grass without any shirt on. And I had some
scaring everybody away.
Yeah, scaring everybody away. Had some problems with my mower, and what normally takes me like an hour, hour and a half, took me 3 hours to do. So yeah, I got a little baked in the sun in the 90-degree humid weather.
Yeah, my parents moved in. I should say, I helped my parents move into their new apartment yesterday. I mean, listen, it wasn't as bad as like packing up a house. Last year in July.
I didn't know that. I didn't know they were moving, Joe.
Yeah. They weren't happy at the place they were at. It was kind of like one of those things that they found on the whim at that time. None of the other places in the area had like a first floor apartment, right. And plus they wanted a 2-bedroom last year, and they don't need a 2-bedroom, so they went from a 2 to a 1. And this 1-bedroom one is cheaper per month, and 2 is bigger than what they have now.
Nice.
What they had. So
how far was it from where?
They live in the next apartment complex next to me now.
Oh, no. They're too close. They're too close.
Yeah.
They're going to walk over, knock on the door. Joseph.
Oh, listen. Neither one of them can make it that far. The walk where their apartment is now in the new place, you can walk. There's like a walk path from like between each apartment complex. But my parents, they might be able to make it here, but I'd have to drive their asses back over. Hey, they ain't gonna make it back for it. It's fine though. It is what it is.
They can't wait till Nico can drive. They're gonna be like, Nico, come get us.
Good luck, because I'm not doing that shit. I'm not gonna be doing it.
And Darth Pat just smiles. He's just smiling because he's like, "Yep, I could see that." Because Darth Pat's going to have to be like, even though he moves out, eventually he's going to get that call from his mom and dad too. Yeah. Patrick. No.
No, because if they move, they'll be closer to Megan than they will me. So
there you go.
See, you lucked out with that one.
The sister taxi.
Yeah.
I am luckily have quite a few years before my parents get to an age where they may not be safe to drive. I don't know. If you ask my mom, she'll probably never say she's never safe to drive because she thinks she's the greatest driver ever. And I love my mom dearly, but I am very afraid when I'm in a car with her because she has the worst depth perception. She thinks she's really far away, but she's really fucking close.
Yeah, it's not good.
So it's like, yeah, and then she complains about everybody else and how hard they brake. I'm like, really? Honestly?
Yeah, my dad, I think, is slowly kind of getting to that point. Mm-hmm. My mom's had some health issues where she shouldn't have been driving when they were living in Pennsylvania, and she's only driven like 3 times since they've moved down here. Mm-hmm. And not because she's just some of her health issues. Like she has an issue where when she normally walks, she leans to the right. So she'd be going through tests and trying to figure out what's going on with that. But the problem is like that's been affecting her drive, and where something's kind of off where she drives and she kind of like veers to the right. Like she's always like correcting herself. So she really hasn't driven that much. My dad drives, but sometimes my dad do though too. I was like, holy shit. I'm like, you have a lead foot for the gas and you have a lead foot for the brake. What the fuck? Where did this come from? And my dad's 78, so he'll be 79 this year. So he's not saying when you get older you can't drive, but there's when you've driven in the car with your father for as long as I have, and then you kind of notice the changes as the decades go by. Yeah, it's kind of like, oh man, I don't know how much longer can you be having that driver's license there, buddy.
Yeah.
Joe, can you tomorrow or even tonight after we get off this, I didn't mean to interrupt. Can you text me like the link to Rob's detailing thing? Because Brett posted something on Facebook a couple days ago asking about a detailing place, and I want to send it to Brett.
I mean, I'll help Rob out. Why would I want to help Brett? I don't know. I got to think about that. I'm kidding. Yeah, I'll send it to you then. Yeah. No problem.
At least send it to him and say, here's a place.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm definitely thinking about before we go down to Delaware, get my car detailed just so I can drive up in a nice, shiny, clean ride.
Hey, speaking of that, Rob, our boy Rob T, all around detailing, he just moved to a new place up in Catasauqua.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, damn.
Dog.
Close.
Doink.
But he got a guy to do some graffiti in there too. If you check out if you go to his thing, he has like this nice wall graffiti thing going on there. It's pretty cool. So shout out to him. Yeah, please go on our Facebook page because it's still on there. If you scroll through our things, I got to repost it because I know he did an update to his page and whatnot. So I'm gonna relink it for everybody. But yeah, I mean, shoot, next time I'm up there, if I drive one of the cars up there, I'll be hitting him up, say, hey, I'm in Pennsylvania. Can I get my car clean, buddy? Hitting him up to get the car clean and all that detailed. But no, definitely so. Yes, I need the link then. So Patrick, how was your Memorial Day holiday?
I don't remember.
Clearly, he doesn't really want to talk about it.
No,
so that means you
had some eventful.
some sex, drugs, and rock and roll that you just don't remember.
Just, recovering from my eye surgery, and not that I was really still recovering from that last week, but be able to wear my contacts again. So, yeah,
that's nice.
I mean, as long as you can see me, I don't care about the other two. Just as long as you can see me.
Yeah. Just dealing with life in general. So
yes, yeah, life in general. I was telling this to AJ the other day. So I know I mentioned this guys before. It became official that as of July 1st, my department will no longer exist, and they are disbanding my team at my job. And majority of us are going to another tech support department, and the rest of us are going to the other tech support department. So I just don't know what team I'm going to yet. I will be keeping my same position, just going to a new team. So hopefully, I find out this week which team that will be. So if I go to it, the funny thing is, if I go to one of them, good old Marcus will be my manager. Yep.
Really? Well, that's
he went to the one tech. Well, we both became supervisors at the same time. But when I came down here, he had gone over to the tech support team that he's at, and they went through all different changes, and he's moved up. So he's the manager over there now. So it's good for him too.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what's going on.
So Joe, I'm actually curious. I was thinking about this earlier today. Who are you rooting for in this boxing fight tonight? Because I don't think you like either person.
Oh, is this the Mayweather and what's
fight? Yes.
Yeah, so Mayweather's fighting one jabroni tonight.
Yes.
And then former UFC fighter Tyrone Woodley is fighting the other jabroni, I think, next month or August, whatever it is.
So I want to believe you want Floyd Mayweather to beat this dipshit tonight at least.
Yes. It will be the first and only time ever.
Yes, I understand, but...
Unfortunately, yes, the one and only time ever root for Floyd Mayweather. Please beat this jabroni ass up.
This kid, the kid I was
I'm not saying that either one of them can't box, because they can't. Both Logan brothers can box. It is what it is. But the hype is just too much. Like you're fighting guys who they fought guys who don't have a lot of experience or whatever the case may be, and they need to get their asses handed to them by real boxers, fighters per se. And I hope that happens tonight.
This kid I work with is like, I bet on Logan Paul tonight. I'm like, good for you. I'm like, I hope he gets knocked the fuck out.
Yeah. Early in Mayweather's career, he could knock somebody out. Later in his career, you would just sit there, that wasn't happening. But just one.
You mean he didn't really knock the Big Show out? What?
No, he did not. Such a farce. No. So I don't know when that starts. That actually might be going on now.
I think the undercard starts. I asked the kid what time. He said probably 10 or 11 is when that fight will be going on. I was just curious because I was like, there's no way Joe's not rooting for this dipshit to win. So
no.
So I'm like, I don't know. I'm torn. I mean, I definitely do not like Logan Paul by any means. Like, I might have had some respect for him prior to all this stuff happening and him starting this whole boxing career because, hey, he was a YouTube personality. He was doing his thing. Like, he wasn't bothering anybody. He was just doing that. You know, fine, whatever. And I think his brother was on like a Nickelodeon or Disney show or some shit like that. And it's like, whatever, cool. You guys are doing your thing. But when it turned into the boxing and like he makes a spectacle out of it, he beats some like no-name chump like that I don't think ever boxed before either. Or wasn't Nate Robinson?
Yeah.
He knocked out Nate Robinson was the first one, and I'm like,
so he's beating up an NBA player, like
celebrity fought boxing. That's all it was. I mean,
and like just like I know he's trying to hype it up and make it more than what it is, but when he stole Mayweather's hat and like ran away, ooh, I got your hat. I'm like, what are you, 10 years old? Like, what the hell here? Like, this is just ridiculous. And then of course Mayweather like legitimately was like pissed because like he's touching him and he's like, don't fucking touch me, man. Don't steal my shit.
Yeah,
like legit was going after him, and Logan Paul thought it was the funniest thing ever. I'm like, dude, if he really would have got you at that point in time, you probably would have been not fighting today. Like, you're lucky there was 70 people there.
And he fought Askin, and Askin, he was an all right MMA fighter. He was a decent striker too. But I mean, people probably say he was a good striker. I thought he was a decent striker. I've watched a lot of his fights. And they're like, oh, but you know, he could take him out. He came into that fight like looked like he was overweight, like he didn't give a shit. I just felt like he did take a dive. It just was just so weird. Like I don't understand. I feel like there's been a whole big thing. Like the ref looks like he could have got paid off, because I'm like looking at the ref. I'm like, why is he stopping this fight? I'm like, Asuka could still go. Like, what are you doing? It just felt like everyone was paid under the table. It just felt so shitty. It's like you're taking your celebrity and making boxing into a fucking joke. That's what I want Mayweather to fuck this guy up tonight. It's just ridiculous. Right. And I want Woodley. I want Woodley to kick the other brother's ass too. So also on this other card, speaking of celebrities,
oh boy,
Chad Ochocinco is fighting tonight.
I saw that
against Brian Maxwell in a 4-round cruiserweight exhibition. And former heavyweight champ Badu, I apologize if I'm butchering your first name, Badu Jack, will face replacement Dervin Colina in a 10-round battle. Okay.
We gave the Pauls enough time. We're done. Shits anymore. I was just curious, Joe. That's all.
Yeah.
Speaking of Chad Ochocinco, I was watching because we're big fans of Dark Side of the Ring. Well, Vice has come out with Dark Side of the NFL or Dark Side of Pro Sports. So I had to watch the Ochocinco episode. Did anybody else watch that?
I didn't watch that one, but I watched the other one with Mr. Romanowski.
I heard from multiple sources that the entire Dark Side of Football show sucks. So I haven't really watched more than a couple minutes of either of any of them. So.
Well, it depends on what you're expecting. Like if you're expecting like this huge like tell all, I don't think you're gonna get that.
Well, that was kind of what Dark Side of the Ring is. So I think, and that's what I was reading. It was basically I was reading and saying, well, they took the Dark Side of the Ring concept and fucked it up. So
yeah, it's not the same as Dark Side of the Ring. That's for sure. It's completely. They tried to do the same concept, but it's definitely not the same product. It is a very different product. It's literally interviews with people that know him, like this interview, but I don't really know how to explain it, but it is definitely different. But I enjoyed the Chad Ochocinco one. It's funny to hear what he's saying and remember watching him play all those years ago and know what he was doing then is now allowed, and they crucified his ass for everything that he did. And it's like, now it's okay. And he said, he's like, I had to be a fall guy. Like I had to be the person that they singled out, and to look now and see that they allow what I was doing, and that they allow team, celebrations.
Yeah.
He's like, I was just ahead of my time. I was too early for what the NFL was going to allow at that point in time, because that's what really ruined his career. Besides, of course, the thing with his wife, the headbutt that he gave her. So, but they made a big deal. I don't remember making a big deal out of it. I think just because I wasn't a Cincinnati fan and I didn't have to see it all the time as like some Steelers fans and, Browns and, everybody from that division had to see it all that time. But I remember hearing a lot about it and seeing some of it, the Lord of the Dance, end zone dance. That's probably the most famous one.
Good stuff though, man. I'm not gonna lie.
He did.
Yeah, it's some good stuff.
The dark side of the ring with Jake the Snake's family was fucked up. So
I didn't get to see it. I keep on looking for it, but I can't find them.
I just it's on you.
You can find them on YouTube if you look hard enough.
Yeah. And I just haven't looked hard enough, I guess.
I watched it. I watched it today. Yeah, I knew that Rockin' Robin was his sister. I remember that. But I forgot about Sam Houston.
No, I knew that too. Like I remembered, I knew that too. So
I forgot about that one. I knew, what's her name was married to somebody in their family too.
Sam Houston was married to Baby Doll.
Yeah, that's it, Baby Doll. I knew Baby Doll was related to them by marriage, but I just can't remember who. But yeah, Sam Houston. Yeah, that was a crazy episode. Just. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Jeremy, I know you didn't see it yet, but yeah, his dad, I mean, as good as a wrestler he was, some of the stuff with him liking the younger females.
Well, I heard,
shit, man. Not good shit.
Well, anything Jake ever said about his dad was never like nice. Like he didn't ever call him a dickhead or an asshole, but he was like, my dad, like I could never live up to like his expectations. He always told me I was dirt, that I would never be anybody or be anything. I'm like, damn, like if that don't mess with your brain, like because no offense, like evidently Jake the Snake's dad was a big thing, but honestly, I have no idea who the fuck he is. Like at least I've heard of a lot of old time wrestlers, but I have never heard of his dad. Like,
I've heard of his dad. I've read stuff about his dad in the past.
Because his father retired, I think, in the late 70s, and he was very much a territory guy, and I don't think he ever wrestled for WWE. So, you're not gonna typically hear about him. And WWE sure not gonna promote him with all the stuff that's come out, in all the years since he was, an active performer. It's like, he did once work backstage for WWE as a road agent. He also worked for WCW and most famously though Mid-South. He was like Bill Watts' top lieutenant, and I guess like a lot of people were trying to start shit online saying like, how did Bill Watts never know this stuff was going on? Blah blah blah. And it's like, well, because unfortunately, the people who engage in these types of behaviors, they're very good at concealing it from other people. They're very good at getting other people's trust because, I mean, not to unfortunately spoil too much of it for you, Jeremy, but, they're talking about like they'd be on the road and all of a sudden they'd go way off the road somewhere and they'd be picking up some like 10-year-old girl from her parents who were like happily waving her off because, she's getting to go to the matches with Uncle Grizz and all this. And it's like, so, these people apparently just had absolutely no idea what was going on.
Well, he said like, I think his dad was 17 and his mom was 13 when she had Jake.
His dad, something like that. His dad was definitely not 17. His mother was 13. His mother was 13. What it was is that, and
I thought he said 17 or something. Maybe it was like something. I just heard the 13 and I was like, holy shit! Are you kidding me?
Because it was according to one retelling.
Oof.
And they didn't really say this specifically on the Dark Side episode, but according to one retelling, Grizzly Smith was dating this woman and screwed her daughter, who was 13, who then gave birth to Jake. And this being that part of the country at that time, oh, you got to marry this girl now.
Yeah.
The shotgun wedding.
Yeah, no. Nobody's really that upset that he impregnated this 13-year-old girl.
Because it was probably pretty common at that point in time.
I mean, I don't know how common it was, but
I hope not, but it's a possibility.
I mean, listen, if it's down south, I mean, that type of South back then.
The South.
Thank you for clarifying the back then.
Yeah,
to all our Southern listeners.
Back then, people.
The South and the Midwest was, kind of like that in a lot of ways. So it's just,
very interesting episode, though.
Yeah, I have to watch
that. I did not watch the Ultimate Warrior one. I'm not watching the Ultimate Warrior Dark Side of the Ring. So
I actually decided to. I ended up watching the biography one, and then the next day I watched the Dark Side of the Ring one. Like, I mean, I told you the other day, there's not much of that you're going to find new in regards to anything about the Warrior. The only thing is, like, the Dark Side of the Ring, they talk to his ex-wife. So you kind of get a more background of him, through his ex-wife's eyes, which she really doesn't throw him under the bus at all or anything like that. So
no, you can tell there was still a lot of care for him from her. But they could have been much, 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 much harsher on him.
Yeah.
On the Dark Side episode than they were. The most interesting thing, and kind of contrasting to them. Now, first of all, A&E changed their order of the biography episode so they could air the Warrior episode before Dark Side aired theirs. So that should tell you something. In the biography episode, you've got his widow basically apologizing for all of the horseshit that he said later in life.
The homophobic stuff, because they brought that up in both episodes.
Saying that about, like, he was listening to too much Rush Limbaugh and he was just, angry and he needed an outlet and blah, 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 blah.
No, that's not really how he felt.
And
don't make excuses.
Well, no. This is what I'm getting to. They then played a clip in the Dark Side episode. It was an audio clip of Warrior talking, where he says what got him turned on to all the right-wing politics was his wife. So she's pretty much there on the biography episode, bullshitting about, he just was getting influenced by the wrong people and he needed an outlet for it, when she's the one who turned him on to this shit. So once again, because WWE is like embracing the legacy of his character and all this with the Warrior Award, and she's like on the creative staff or whatever, I say it once, I say it forever. Dana Warrior, fuck you. Right? They conniving bitch. I'm sorry that your husband died, leaving 2 young daughters. Yeah, I'm sure that absolutely positively sucked. But they also had the quote from one of his daughters on there saying, well, there's a story, but you have to tell the whole story. Yeah, you do. And your mother doesn't do that, honey.
Yeah, the Dark Side of the Ring, they played some audio that was not on the A&E one. And it's just definitely audio of, him telling it how it is, how he got into certain stuff.
This is what I'll say about him. He obviously said some dumb shit, and he did some dumb shit. But
yeah, he definitely does.
He belongs in the Hall of Fame. There's a lot of professional athletes in other sports that have done dumb shit off the camera, and they still got into the Hall of Fame. So he belonged in the Hall of Fame. He was a good enough wrestler to get in there. I don't think he was a great in-ring performer, but what he did when he was there was enough to be in the Hall of Fame. So he belongs there. Whether he had character issues or not, I don't care. I'm not arguing about that. But I do think that he belongs in the Hall of Fame. So that's my problem is if Pat, if you don't think he belongs there, I think you're wrong. So
did I say that?
No, I don't know what you've never really said that. So that's what I'm saying. I don't know what you're going to say with that. So,
well, I mean, when you come right down to it, what does the WWE Hall of Fame?
It doesn't mean. I mean, it doesn't take much to get in there. It's not like people are voting in these other ones where you have to impress somebody or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think if people were voting, I still think he did enough to get there, like to belong there. Like I feel like he belongs there. There are definitely
he would have voted him in.
There are plenty of less than admirable people in the WWE Hall of Fame. So I would never say Warrior doesn't belong in the WWE Hall of Fame because he was a piece of shit.
He was a piece of shit. I will give you.
There are no endless numbers of pieces of shit in the WWE Hall of Fame. So
it's pro wrestling. That's what happens, I guess.
I would certainly never say, "Oh, Warrior doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame." I mean, again, because it doesn't mean that much, really, in the grand scheme of things, and it's really just an event to sell tickets and make you feel good about like nostalgia of the past and shit like that. So, yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with him being in the Hall of Fame. The problem that I've had with the Hall of Fame as it pertains to the Warrior
is the Warrior stuff. I know
is when it's not even the Warrior Award. I don't really have a problem with the Warrior Award per se.
Mm-hmm.
I wish it wasn't named after him. And I really wish that, and it's like when they didn't do it this year, I don't remember if they did it 2 years ago, but you do not need to bring her out every year to introduce the fucking award.
No.
We know who it's named for. And again, it's like the stuff that, and it just shows you how funny, like, it's just like, the history of wrestling, according to the WWE, changes whichever way the wind blows and everything. And the stuff that, that they say was so great about the Warrior and that they say goes into what the spirit of the Warrior Award is all about and everything is the same shit that they fucking tore him a new one for in the Self-Destruction DVD. All that Destrucity bullshit and every other thing. Stuff that Bruce Pritchard was just like, it was like, I don't know what the hell this was. And Jim Cornette was like asking Bruce Pritchard, does he really like that? And, all this other shit. So, yeah.
It's kind of happened with you a little bit, Pat, with Hogan. It sucks when like the person that you liked as a wrestler when you were a kid, when you find out that they're a dipshit. It kind of ruins it a little bit, I think. So
yeah, and the problem that, of course, that I not to go detour too far here. The problem that I still have with Hogan and why, of course, I did not stand up and cheer for him at WrestleMania, is the fact that the way I look at it, he did not apologize. He did not really act, at least from anything we've really heard, like he feels like what he did was wrong or that he was really truly sorry in any way, shape, or form about it. And so it's kind of like at the point where it's like, dude, you're such a bullshitter. You really always have been. You're great at spinning the yarn and telling these bullshit stories and everything. And it's like, I'm just, oh, look at that. I turned 40. I stopped taking my vitamins a long time ago.
Pat, I enjoyed a lot of the biography things, though. I liked most of them. I liked Booker T's a lot. I really liked Booker T's.
I just was watching some of Booker T's last night. I didn't see like every little bit of it. I love the GWF footage that they showed because I remember watching them in GWF, pretty much all the time.
And I think we all kind of knew like Shawn Michaels did a lot of drugs, but this was like the first time he's ever really talked about like publicly said,
Oh yeah, he was a high ass motherfucker all the time.
It really does sound like there was a point in his career where maybe Triple H was his babysitter, and he may still be alive because of Triple H. So
I didn't watch. There's a bunch of the A&E ones I haven't watched yet. Bret Hart, I'm not sure if I'm going to watch that one.
The Brad one was tonight. I forgot to set it up to record, so I'll have to catch it on a replay. I haven't watched the Foley one yet. I do want to watch the Foley one.
I watched that the other day. That was a good one.
At least with the Michaels one, you didn't have people shoveling dirt on his grave like they did with Savage, but
I actually don't want to watch the Foley one. That's the one I skipped, and I have no urge to watch that one because I don't particularly like him. So,
well, I thought it was good. Like I've watched a couple of those because I don't feel like creating an account for A&E. So I'm just like, I don't want to create an account. I'm like, I have too many damn accounts. Like I'm sick of creating accounts for shit. Just getting annoyed with it. So I was like, I watched the ones I could just like, they're like, these are unlocked. I'm like, sweet. Let me watch these.
I mean, you just always have to remember that with these biography episodes, you're getting the WWE version.
Well, yeah,
of everything. I mean,
I think Booker T was like, because he was really legitimately like the underdog that lived a shitty like childhood, and he rose above that and stuff. I think I have a lot. I mean, I already kind of knew that, but I just have more respect for him now because of like all these other guys. Most of them didn't go through like what he did when they were kids, like Triple H and The Rock and some of these other big stars. They didn't have to go through, living in a house that was abandoned for a year or whatever he did with his sister or whatever. So like, he legitimately like was living in poverty, and he really did kind of like rise above all that. And like, just, that's like the underdog story that like came true. Like he really did persevere through.
They should make a movie about it.
So
I mean, they could technically.
Booker T story.
That would
Sucker.
be a cool movie.
Sucker.
The Nick Cage one from Dark Side of the Ring. I'm not going to watch that one.
I'm not watching that one either.
I haven't watched that one too because I don't know who he is. I don't.
Well, I know who he is. I've watched plenty of his matches. I'm just not.
I don't care. I don't care about deathmatch wrestling. So it's like when they do the second half of the season, and I know that they've got an episode planned for FMW. It's like I've never watched FMW, so I don't know if I'm going to watch that episode either. So, I mean,
was that the Full Metal Wrestling? Was that something like that called?
Frontier Martial Arts Wrestling in Japan.
Oh, Frontier Martial Arts Wrestling.
Yeah. It's like the hardcore Japanese wrestling, which I think is where they. I could be wrong on this, but I think that's where they introduce like the exploding cage and barbed wire matches.
That's ridiculous.
And all that shit. And I think that's where like Foley and Funk had like the first like barbed wire matches and shit like that in like the earlier mid 90s. So I mean they're taking like a hiatus after this coming week for I don't know how long. But like they're because they haven't announced it, but like the one that's on this side or this week rather, of course, is the Dynamite Kid, which will probably be another interesting one in a lot of ways.
It will be.
So,
I mean, it's on hiatus till the end of July.
Yeah, the other episodes they have planned, they have Luna Vachon, Chris Kanyon.
The Plane Ride from Hell. That's the one I'm the most excited about.
Yeah, FMW, The Plane Ride from Hell. XPW, Extreme Pro Wrestling, who were the ones who tried to kind of out hardcore ECW, and they interrupted that one late ECW pay-per-view. This guy Bruiser Bedlam, who that could be an interesting one. This was a guy who was convicted of murder.
Wow. Nice.
I'm sorry. He was charged, but he got off. This guy was truly a scary guy, and like there'll probably be some fun Jim Cornette stories there because he appeared briefly in Smoky Mountain Wrestling. And the one that I'm really most interested to see what they do because of who they'll be able to get to talk to, the United States versus McMahon.
Ooh, that'll be a good one because that was the controversy.
Yeah, let's see who they get for that one.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see who they have comments from.
Is Hogan under contract still?
He's
Legends
in
contract,
yeah. He's in WWE's good graces. So while I'm sure he'll be referenced many times, and they'll probably, they'll probably either read or show some of his testimony and everything. There's no way he will be an interview subject for it.
Yeah, we don't. They have to keep everybody under contract in WWE because then we might not get Mark Henry showing up at AEW. Who gives a fuck at this point? Like, I don't fucking care if Mark Henry can still wrestle. I could give two shits.
Yeah.
I don't think he's there to wrestle, though. He's not there to wrestle.
I mean, do we want to segue into talking about what happened in WWE this week?
No, I want to go to football. No, we can go. I'm just messing with these guys.
I didn't watch any wrestling this week, so
yeah, I have no idea.
I'm not talking about
firings.
Pat's referring to the cuts that happened that I was actually happy about. So
yes, go ahead. Let's talk about the cuts real quick, and then I want to jump into some football and basketball.
Yeah, so I mean, rewind the clock about 2 years. We know AEW was coming. We didn't know what it was going to look like. Vince was signing basically everybody he could who he thought could have some value. Like that's why you had guys like Anderson and Gallows re-signing like contracts that were going to pay them supposedly like $600,000 or $700,000, which was money that they were never going to get. Like they were never going to get guaranteed money like that, like in any other time and everything. So, and supposedly sometime in 2019, they gave Braun Strowman a new contract, which was supposedly worth like $1.2 million or $1.5 million or something like that. Which you could say was a little bit more justified because he was getting over. I think he was selling merch too. So, that's
like
fine.
Getting these hands.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, I think that's
selling.
As far as I know, that stuff sold merch. So
it did,
yeah,
and that's weird.
It did, but that doesn't mean that I'm not allowed to think that people buying that merch are stupid because I do.
Well, that's not the point. But
listen here, you dummy.
Yes.
So now we
the
come
masses
to the
speak.
present day, and obviously they cut all these people last year when the pandemic hit,
Mhm.
and then of course the irony of that is that they posted record profits for last year, and they're supposedly on track to post record profits again this year. I mean, when you get however much money that was though for selling the network to Peacock, I would hope so.
Like 500 million or some jazz like that.
Whatever the hell it was, I don't even remember now. I'm still salty about that because Peacock's platform compared to the WWE Network platform sucks.
That is correct on that.
I mean, it's like, yeah, I want to go watch a Raw from 1996. I got to remember that was season 4 of Raw since Raw started in 1993. Now you can't look it up by year. It's arranged by seasons, not years.
And it's still dumb. It's still really dumb that you can't pause a live pay-per-view. It's really dumb.
Yeah.
You can't pause life, man. It just keeps happening.
Well, the pay-per-views too. Let's say I want to go watch Halloween Havoc 1997. Well, I got to scroll through the list that's arranged by season to find 1997. I can't just go click on 1997. It's so stupid. But anyway, so they cut all those people last year, and they cut people a few weeks ago, and then of course this week, it was Braun Strowman, Buddy Murphy, Aleister Black, Lana, Ruby Riott, and somebody from NXT who
not Ruby Riott. That sucks. I think she was good.
Ruby Riott's the only one that I was disappointed about. The rest of them, I was like, sweet, goodbye.
So, I have a couple of my Yankee friends. There's really only 2 of my group of 8 or 9 Yankee friends who follow wrestling at all.
Mm-hmm.
So they're the ones who kind of alerted me to Strowman getting released, and I kind of quick stopped what I was doing at work and just checked the story and said, "Oh, look at that! They released these other people too." My immediate reaction was twofold. One, the rumors have been there, and they're not going to go away. They're prepping the company to be sold. When that's going to happen, I really don't know. I still would be shocked to see them sell while Vince is alive, but you never know. So that's one thing. But the other thing, which I think is really a bigger takeaway from this than they're prepping the company to sell, is that 1.5 to 2 years into it here, Vince does not give a fuck about AEW. He does not view them as competition. He does not view them as a threat. And that is AEW's fault, not WWE's, obviously. Mm-hmm. But it's some of those guys could have some value to AEW. I'm not 100% sure where, because they just keep bringing in new people, it seems like, and the storylines when I read are still kind of hard to follow, and they don't seem to make a lot of logical sense in a lot of cases for AEW. But, yeah, you can see where Braun Strowman could theoretically have value. Ruby Riott would definitely improve the women's division.
Ruby Riott could help.
Yeah, I mean, listening to Cornette's podcast from this week, and he thought Ruby Riott would actually have the most value to AEW out of anybody who they released. I just found it. I mean, it sounds like, again, that the reason Strowman got released was his contract. Not that they were unhappy with his work. Not it's you need to go learn a new hold, which was the old wrestling. That was the old wrestling parlance for when a territory would tell somebody to go get lost, for a few months. They would say, "Oh, go learn a new hold."
The arm bar.
The funniest thing about the Strowman thing is he took a lot of pot shots at indie wrestlers and stuff like a year or two ago, and now he potentially could be one of them. And he like took pot shots at them and said, but I also saw where he said he's done wrestling if he ever is done in WWE, so we'll see if that he follows suit on that. So
he'll go back to strongman and be nobody again, because I've watched a lot of strongman competitions and I never remember seeing his name.
I mean, well, his name wasn't Braun Strowman.
I know his name was not Braun Strowman, but I never seen him like in a finals competition. Like,
and you know what? When you think about it, then too, I think I heard somebody say this. I don't remember who now though. Say, hey, wasn't it kind of a minor miracle that they gave him the name Braun Strowman instead of the name Braun Strongman?
Yeah.
That just seems like a typical WWE creative thing, like Chili McFreeze and
like
Mason the Mutilator.
Sometimes, and everybody likes different people. So sometimes when they cut people, they get it wrong. I actually really believe that they cut the right people. I have no problem with any of them. Strowman, to me, has never really amounted to anything. Despite most of my friends, I don't think Aleister Black is anything special. He can't talk for shit on the mic. He has no charisma. So he was a striker. So he's basically Nakamura with no charisma. So I was bored by him. Everybody knows Lana was terrible. So there was nothing going on there. She was trying, but
Lana was fine so long as she wasn't in the ring. She was great. She was fine as a valet, but as a wrestler, I mean,
Buddy Murphy was fine. He wasn't anything special. He's another guy that just they didn't have anything for him to do. He was fine when he was in NXT. He didn't really do anything earth-changing on the main roster. So
he's one that has no charisma for me.
Yeah,
I don't like anything. I'm not really a big fan of.
And let's be honest, the WWE needs to downsize their freaking amount of people anyways, because they don't use a majority of them for anything anyways. They're just like random people thrown into matches a lot of times
especially on Monday nights,
or terrible storylines that last 1 or 2 weeks and then it's done. Like they need to downsize their roster. It's been that way for years that they have to do that.
AEW does too.
Yes, and some of these guys, like Andrade, ending up in AEW is fine. Like, I don't have a problem with that because he'll probably work there. Like, he's a good wrestler. And
yeah, I like Andrade a lot. I'm so excited he went there.
Him going there makes sense. Ruby Riott going there would make sense because their women's division is terrible and they can use all the help they can get because they need people to feed Britt Baker right now because they're not going to take the belt off her. They just put it on her. So they need good people to put in programs with Britt Baker.
Yep.
But if I was going to guess, I would say Aleister Black ends up on Impact. If I was going to guess, that's where I would guess he goes. If he's going to go somewhere, I would see him potentially going to Impact. I really want him to go somewhere where I don't watch. I don't watch Impact, so if he ends up there, I don't care. So, and I even when and this is me talking, not you guys. Even when they got rid of Miro, I've always thought he was crap too. So, and I think he's crap in AEW too. And it's like, oh, look what we got. We got something here. And I think WWE got rid of him because they knew that there wasn't a lot there. And when they got rid of him, I'm like, cool. I was hoping I wouldn't have to see him again either. Now I have to see him every week cutting terrible promos on AEW. So,
no, I never saw Miro, so I can't say anything.
Well, no, you saw Rusev. That's Rusev, Jeremy.
Oh, Rusev. Oh,
yeah. His name's Miro now.
I forgot they changed his name completely. Well, I knew he wasn't going to be Rusev because that's trademarked by the WWE, but I didn't realize that he was going by Miro because I don't watch AEW. But
right.
I think Miro's his real first name.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah,
but it's just
he's average to me. I mean, the best thing he ever did for me was the whole Rusev Day stuff with what's his name, English and whatnot. That was good stuff. But after that, I mean, it's what it is.
Just because we happen to be talking about him, Jim Cornette, like 2 weeks ago, I think, like he was reviewing the AEW show, and it wasn't the best AEW show I've ever seen, but Jim Cornette said the best part of the show was a promo with Miro and Lance Archer, and it was garbage, the promo. And I'm like, all the stuff that he could have picked. And Cornette was like, his favorite part was this promo that wasn't good. Like, it just wasn't. It's not even about me liking either of those guys. It just wasn't a good promo. And there was a match or two. I know he's not going to pick a match with the Cucamonga Kids because he loves them. And
hey, I watched their match on Friday night, and I thought it was pretty meh.
I thought the match was good with the Death Triangle again. Like they put that like that, and at the pay-per-view, the two best matches were the one with the Bucks in it and the one with Kenny in it, with Twinkle Toes, as he calls him.
No. Twinkle Toes McFingerbang.
Okay.
Twinkle Toes McFingerbang. Wow.
He hates Cornette hates Omega more than the Bucks because of stuff that Omega did in the past, like wrestling blow-up dolls and wrestling the Invisible Man and shit like that.
Well,
so
sometimes you got to do stuff that's fucking weird.
If he's going to complain about that, he should have complained about when Brian Pillman wrestled a pencil.
All right. So
anyway,
we actually have somebody besides ourselves here that is like watching. So big shout out to Monica Piro. I hope I said her last name right. She joined us. She's watching. So big shout out to her for joining us. Thank you. We appreciate you watching.
I just wanted to kind of finish this with this thought.
What? No, I don't want to hear it no more.
No.
Hold on.
No, and this is, and again, this is not me.
Got the stopwatch out.
This is not me criticizing NXT, but the way that the company uses people who were in NXT. All right, I looked this up and kind of wrote all this stuff down. There have been 18 different guys who have held the NXT championship. 8 of them are still, or I'm sorry, 8 of them are on the main roster right now.
Oh shit.
5 of them are in NXT. 4 of them have never been to the main roster. And one of them was, you could almost say that he was relegated back to NXT in a way. 5 of them are no longer with the company. Of the guys who are still on the main roster, only 3 of them have won either the WWE title or the Universal title. Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, and Kevin Owens. And Finn Balor was the Universal Champion for what, a day? Because
because of Seth Rollins.
That's right. And they created the greatest moment in WWE history for me personally when Kevin Owens won the belt. So
yeah. So, but then it's like you look like obviously Rollins is a superstar. Drew probably would be if they'd had fans in the building for the last year, but it already seems like they're starting to kind of fuck it up with him now.
Mm-hmm.
Owens, I like Owens. Unfortunately, his Universal title reign ended up being about putting the title on Goldberg.
It did, but it did also end. It did also end the best 6 months of wrestling in the last 5 years. So
yeah, that was a great storyline. But it's like the other guys who were NXT champions were Big E, who's been obviously the New Day's been fine, and he's won the Intercontinental title a couple of times. But it seems like he's hit a ceiling. Bo Dallas, no longer with the company, only ever won the tag team titles once. Yeah. Adrian Neville was a 2-time Cruiserweight champion, but was begging to be out of his contract with WWE.
There's a guy who AEW knows how to use that WWE did not know how to use. Pac is a beast, and WWE.
I've been fine with what I've seen from him when I've made him on. I like him.
He can go. He's a really good wrestler. So.
Sami Zayn, who's been an Intercontinental champion twice, but once again, there's a ceiling for him.
They don't know what to do with him.
There's a ceiling for him, and he's largely a comedy guy, you could say. Yes. Owens, in addition, won the Universal title, won the Intercontinental twice, the US 3 times. I mean, he's really been fine, but he's also a guy they're never going to build the company around or give an extended title run to at this point. Balor, Samoa Joe, the best he did was win the US title twice, and now of course he's gone. Now obviously there was injuries and everything there. Shinsuke Nakamura, the guy who I thought they were going to push up, to the moon, and wow, did they sour on him fast. Now it's like He's been an Intercontinental Champion, a Tag Team Champion, a U.S. Champion. He won the Royal Rumble. But they kind of just, I guess, let's be honest. They stopped pushing him because he's not a native English speaker.
That's probably it.
So, Bobby Roode, Bobby Roode won the U.S. title once, and he's been a 3-time tag team champion now, but, he's never going to get a main event push.
He should be on AEW.
He's also in his 40s. He's closer to the end of his career than anything else.
He's close to the end of his career.
Drew, I mentioned, Andrade, who won the U.S. title once, and of course, they never used him worth anything.
Nope.
Aleister Black, never won a title on the main roster, barely used on the main roster. Now he's gone. Oh. Then you got the 4 guys who were still in NXT, Ciampa, Gargano, Cole, and Cross. And then you have the mysterious case of Keith Lee. Who it seemed
no one knows what's going on with that guy these days.
Who it seemed like was getting a push, and then all of a sudden,
the wrestling gods interfered and made everything better for me. So
right, but so my point is here, and this is one of the reasons really when we got into that whole discussion several weeks back, where I was saying like NXT doesn't matter. Vince just doesn't seem to know what to do with NXT when you come right down to it.
That's true, man. That's very true.
It's anybody who wants to try to argue that it's a co-equal brand to Raw and SmackDown. No, it's not. I mean, the way that the guys get used differently from NXT to either Raw or SmackDown pretty much tells you that. And some of the stuff that I was just going over, I think, backs that up. And it's like, if you're gonna bother to have NXT and you want to treat it like a developmental territory or whatever, shouldn't you be developing guys, and then you put them to good use when you call them up to Raw or SmackDown? Again, it's like, other than like the Shield guys, and yes, Roman Reigns never won the NXT title, just kind of interesting. He was probably not ready to anyway, but really, it's like, other than the Shield guys or like Owens.
Oh, he's got COVID.
Who can you say has really been, once they left NXT and came to the main roster, has had like a true, total, lasting impact?
That's why I'm scared to death of Adam Cole going to the main roster, because that guy has boatloads of talents, like the future star, but they're going to ruin him. They take that guy to the main roster, they're going to ruin him probably.
And I got to be honest with you, I think that's completely justified to be worried about that. But this is also, again, why I don't watch NXT. I don't want to get attached to any of these guys and then see them get called up to Raw or SmackDown, and that they either change their character completely or that they just, fuck with them or and don't use them. And like, they're on TV for like, 2 pay-per-views, and then it's like, they disappear. So
the only people that have had a good run is the Street Profits, and they're a tag team.
Yeah, and
they're the really only ones that haven't fucked up yet.
Do you see either of those guys ever being Bret Hart or Shawn Michaels, bringing in the sense of, breaking out from the tag team and becoming a...
I mean, Montez could. Yeah. I don't think he's going to be a world... I don't know if Montez is going to be a world champion, but there's charisma there, and he could definitely be a singles wrestler that could work. It's always going to be could work. We can never play that will work because we don't know. So you can play that. There's also... You just talked about tag teams and men. There's definitely women from NXT that have had a lasting impact on the main roster. So,
and it's weird because the women have had more impact than the men have.
That's true.
By
far. It's not even. You're right, Joe.
It's not even close.
And honest. I mean, that's both interesting and a little sad in some ways. And I don't mean to disparage the women's wrestlers. I'm definitely not doing that, because I do think that they're all great. We're talking about like the horsewomen and some of the other ones who have come up, but it's just kind of, it's just really ironic again that, you've gotten more out of the female wrestlers and like why? It's like, is there a particular reason? It's like, what does Vince see in some of those female wrestlers that he doesn't seem to see in some of these male wrestlers? That's what I'm not quite figuring out. But And again, to try to get in the mind of Vince McMahon is something that's probably best left not done. So I don't know. But again, this will just be an interesting thing to continue to watch as time goes by. If they continue cutting back on stuff, then again, like I said, it may not be imminent. It may not happen in the next few months or the next year even, but I think eventually you just got to figure that at some point they're going to sell the company, and then
got
Fox. Like they're not going to sell to Fox. If they're going to sell anybody, it's going to be to Comcast, NBC, Universal, Taco Bell, Prudential.
They might sell to Fox.
Chevrolet. That's a conglomerate. So
we'll see if we're really going to get Cena, Roman, and Brock, Bobby at SummerSlam, because I think those two are coming. So
that would not be cool. I don't want to see Cena wrestle anymore.
Vegas.
They need
good old Vegas.
They need to make sure people are in the arena, Jeremy. And
true.
Suicide Squad comes out the first week of August. So, Cena could probably, he'll be able to help promote the movie and everything by being back on the TV and everything. So,
yeah. All right. So, with that being said, it's time to move on to something.
That's fine.
We're going to talk some NFL. We're going to talk some NBA because there's some good things going on in the NBA, and there are some interesting things that I've seen recently that are kind of disturbing with the NFL. But before we do that, I want to give a big shout out to not our sponsor by any means, but kind of an unofficial sponsor of Dr. Squash. I recently purchased some of their body soaps, which I love the smell of all of them, and I started using the grapefruit IPA, which smells fucking awesome. It smells like citrus, and then it smells like beer, and I was like, "This is pretty manly."
It's good stuff.
So
told you it
big
was.
shout out to them for developing some all natural soaps that actually make you smell good instead of like being all natural and you smell like dirt. So that's pretty cool.
And they clean you.
Yes, they really do clean you. I was kind of worried because I thought about trying natural stuff before, and all the things I had read about natural stuff was you don't feel clean, you don't smell good. It's like washing with dirty water. I was like, oh God, that's gross. So natural products have evidently come a long, long way. So that's good. So two things that I want to talk about in the NFL. One, I did see that Julio Jones got traded, which I was very surprised by that because I thought he was going to be a Falcon for life.
I knew he was going to get traded. I was more surprised about where he went.
Yes, the Titans.
He got his wish.
Yep.
Now, of course, I'll be more interested to see if and when Matt Ryan says he wants out of town too.
Yeah, it's a possibility. So I thought that was interesting. So I guess three things, because I also saw a headline that says, who's the coach of Tampa Bay? I cannot remember.
Bruce Arians.
Bruce Arians is upset that people are going to work out with Tom Brady and not coming to OTAs. I was like, that's kind of fucking funny.
Who cares? If it's your team, if his teammates, his players on his team are working out with Tom Brady and not going to OTAs, who gives a shit?
Yeah, because OTAs aren't fucking mandatory. They're not. They're an optional fucking thing.
Wait till later on in the summer when everyone has to show up. Just be thankful they're working out with Tom Brady.
I know.
That's all you got to worry about.
I was laughing. I was like, that's just really stupid. That's just really
like he
dumb.
should know better by now. Just let it be.
Yeah, you got to deal with that shit. Oh well, too bad. So sad.
So the big one I wanted to bring up, because this has been a huge controversy for like weeks now, ever since it dropped, that Tim Tebow has gotten the opportunity to try out. He has, as far as I know, I haven't read anything yet, that he has officially been signed to the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, he's signed.
Did he finally sign?
Signed.
Because everything I had seen up until this point, so I just didn't see that yet, is that he had been given the opportunity to work out and try and make the team just like any fucking other player. But this has caused a huge fucking uproar because he had been retired from football for years now. Has been
for the Mets.
Played for the Mets.
That's my league team.
Yeah, that didn't work out so well. he was doing a lot of, like, I believe, missionary work, and he's very much into his beliefs in God and stuff like that, very Christian beliefs. And I really got kind of pissed off at the whole situation, because I personally don't care. I'm like, whatever, you know, if you know, they want to give him an opportunity down in Jacksonville, if good old Nick Saban, right? Nick Saban, yeah.
No. Urban Meyer.
I'm sorry. I don't know why I thought Nick Saban, whatever. But if Urban Meyer wants to give him a shot, it's his fucking call. Like, that's his choice. And there's a lot of history between Urban Meyer and fucking Tim Tebow, whether you like Tim Tebow or not. And I know Matt does not like him at all because he played for Florida, which
I don't either.
I know you don't.
He also played for the Broncos, unfortunately. So
yes, true. Which was very tough for you to go, oh my God, that guy that I hate.
Tim Tebow.
So whether you like the guy or don't like the guy, the simple fact is,
I don't have a problem with him. I don't have a problem with him playing.
The simple fact is that he was offered a chance to try out. Now, as Darth Pat said, he is now officially signed. So evidently he fucking did really well at the tight end position, which he never played. Did really well, and he is worth Urban Meyer giving him the fucking tight end position. They needed a tight end anyways. He evidently didn't
one too.
Yeah, they drafted one, but they, you know, you never know how a draft pick's going to work out. He knows what kind of athlete Tim Tebow is, so he expects Tim Tebow to bust his fucking ass and fucking give him everything he's got, because that's the kind of person that Tim Tebow is. That's the kind of, you know, that's just the way he works as an athlete and a person. My favorite person to hate as a sports analyst, Stephen A. Dickhead Smith. This jackass.
He's an acquired taste.
He really is.
Acquired taste.
And it's funny because there was at one point I liked him because I thought he really just kind of told you how it is. And I've slowly started to dislike him because he makes everything now, in my view, he brings race into fucking everything. He can't just fucking tell the story, can't just give his opinion. Everything's got to bring race into it. And that's what he fucking did with this whole story. He went on record saying, I don't care if you like what I say or not, but I'm saying it. He believes that Tim Tebow's opportunity is a case of white fucking privilege. Now, I'm not going to sit here and debate. And I don't. That. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm not going to debate whether it is or not. But I think that is a fucking very ignorant remark based on the fact that the majority of athletes in the NFL are black. So it's not like they're the minority of players in the NFL and they're trying, and every, you know, oh, well, you're giving it to this white guy because, you know, you don't want any more black people. Like, the majority of athletes in the NFL
the
are black.
tight end they drafted was black from the University of Illinois. Dude's like 6'6", and he's a beast. I can't pronounce his name worth the shit, but the kid's good.
Right. So it's not like he picked a white guy over a black guy. So I don't understand in Stephen A. Smith's mind, and I'm not going to try and understand it, how that becomes white privilege. Now, I watched a very interesting video given by a black gentleman, and I put the link in the comments, so anybody that wants to go and watch it, you can see his take on it, because I think he does a very good job of really just calling out Stephen A. Smith's stupidity. His name is his page is The Officer Tatum. He's Brandon Tatum is who he is. And like, he's a conservative person, so a lot of people may not like him because he doesn't have, liberal views or whatever. Whatever your political stance is, he's conservative, so he gives it a different point of view. But he is a black gentleman, and he even goes into the fact that he lists like 6 or 7 people that are black that did some fucked up shit and still got to finish their career and had contract extensions through that stuff. One particularly, Ray Lewis, who was being tried and looked at for fucking a murder case.
But I still think that he knew about and he got away with. So
and got to finish out his contract. He made the point.
Nullified him when they put him in the Hall of Fame. They made him like he's a hero.
Yeah. So I cannot think of and then Michael Vick too, with the whole fucking dog thing. He goes to prison and then he gets out and he's back in the fucking NFL. Like, his point was, do you honestly think that if that happened to somebody that was white, that same shit they would still allow that white person, that white player, to be able to come back in the NFL? I don't think they would. I think that the NFL has made exceptions because, and I don't want to say based on color, I think they've just made exceptions to say, okay, this is our demographic and we got to bring people back because they bring people to the television and they bring people to the seats. I may be right or wrong, but that commented the whole white privilege thing because I don't understand it because maybe I have white privilege. I don't know what that really is to me because I fucking had to work for everything I've ever had. I've always fucking kept my nose clean and out of fucking trouble. But I'm also not black, so I don't know what that group of people goes through on a daily basis just because their skin color is different. So I can't really talk to whether I have white privilege or not. All I know is I fucking work my ass off to get every fucking thing I got. That's all I know.
So this I'm not trying to. Joe already knows this, but because he saw it. But Pat, you and Jeremy may not. And I'm not trying to segue this back to wrestling, but it's funny that Urban Meyer's name came up. During the Stadium Stampede match at the AEW pay-per-view, they managed to work their way into Urban Meyer's office. And he was there.
Oh, interesting.
He was giving Chris Jericho footballs to throw at MJF. And at one point, Urban Meyer goes, "Holy shit!" So it was kind of funny. Like, I chuckled. Did you chuckle, Joe?
I did. I thought it was kind of humorous.
It was not. It was very unexpected, I think. So
yeah, it was a little humorous there. Yeah.
So I was just like, so after seeing that, like, it just gave me another reason not to really like Stephen A. Smith. And like you guys said, he's an acquired taste, and I completely get that. And
I stopped paying attention to him a long time ago. So
I just want to get your guys' weigh in on the whole Tim Tebow situation. And if you want to make a comment about what Stephen A. Smith or go watch it yourselves, I would, that's up to you guys.
I'm fine with Tebow getting a shot. So I don't like him, but if he earned a shot, then it's fine with me. So
yeah, I'd have to go back and watch because I usually listen. I usually listen to the morning show he does with Max Kellerman and stuff like that. So I don't watch it all the time or listen to it all the time. So I definitely must have missed that episode. I could care less if Tim Tebow got a shot. I mean, he got jacked for his role at tight end. I heard like 2 days in a row, OTAs or whatever, like he didn't drop one pass. Trevor Lawrence was raving about him. Some of the other players were raving about Tebow. I mean, listen, outside of, so if you like him or not, like he's just overall a good person and just people like him for that. I could care less if he got a shot. The only thing I can think of that he may have kind of brought that up is, I mean, still at the end of the day, there's a lot of people in either even higher up people in management in the NFL still think that Colin Kaepernick should still get a shot at beating the NFL. So,
right.
I mean, maybe it has something to do with that. Maybe not. I don't know. I'd have to go back and watch that and see all of his comments and whatnot. But overall, I could care less if Tebow got a shot. I mean, he's just trying to live out.
He doesn't mention Colin Kaepernick at all. I'm sure that might be the basis of his comment for that, but he doesn't mention Colin Kaepernick at all. At least not that I heard or remember hearing. It was just and the whole Colin Kaepernick thing. Like, I could care less. If they want to give Colin Kaepernick a shot, he can give Colin Kaepernick a shot. I don't fucking care. Like, if he was that good of an athlete and that good of a quarterback, I think he'd fucking be in the league, regardless of the shit that he did outside of the league and in his political views. I don't think that's that as big of a fucking deal as people are making it out to be. I think it's the fact that he's not fucking good enough to be an NFL quarterback.
I think it was his political views. Everything he said, pretty much, he was their scapegoat. He was definitely their scapegoat at that time.
That's fine, but I agree
too.
with you, Jeremy. I don't think he was that good of a quarterback. I think he was overrated. I never really thought he was that good.
So. And to be honest,
he's better than at least almost half the quarterbacks in the NFL right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Yes. So,
but when it came to, I'm trying to remember what the hell happened, because it was so long ago now. But didn't he have like a team coming to see him, and like he had set it up, and they were going to the one fucking facility, and then all of a sudden he decided like
changed it
30 minutes before like it was supposed to happen. He changed where they were going to be, and then like nobody showed up, and he's like, well, nobody showed up, and they're like, well, you fucking changed where you were going to be, like.
That was his whole argument with the NFL and Roger Goodell. He was trying to stick it to Goodell because Goodell wanted to do it on their terms or whatever the case may be. He was trying to pull. He just felt the NFL was trying to pull the narrative of, they wanted him to do it on their time and not his time, per se. That's how I took it.
Isn't that kind of how all jobs work? Hey, here's the interview. Here's the time where we're going to be available. Are you available at this time? Yes or no? If not, okay, well, we got to pick a different time. You kind of work with who your employer is going to be. Like you don't get I don't go into a job and say, okay, you're going to interview me at this time, and this is going to be the location we're going to do that. They fucking laugh in my face. Like,
no, of course. But at the same point, here's the other narrative, and major sports is totally different than our day-to-day job.
Yeah, I agree. 100.
That's the part that sucks. I mean, it is what it is. I don't think Colin Kaepernick was a great quarterback. I think he was an average quarterback and a very good serviceable quarterback, but I still think he's better than the majority of the quarterbacks in the NFL right now. I would rather have him as my backup than half the backups out there right now.
Well, and see, that's the thing. He doesn't want to, from everything that I've read and heard, he doesn't want to be a backup. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
Like
no,
he wants to be a starter.
And that's where he's going to struggle. He has to find that inner self where, hey, if I get back in the NFL, I might be a backup. I'm just going to have to ride it until I get my opportunity.
Right. If you want to be the starter, you got to outplay the starter.
Yep.
You can't, there's that old statement, you can't have your cake and eat it too. Well, he wants his cake and eat it too. He wants to be back in the NFL under his own terms. And that's not, at this point in time, it's not going to happen. Like you've caused too much problems to be able to have both. Now, if he was an upstanding citizen and, if he had all the qualities that Tim Tebow had, he probably would have his cake and eat it too. But unfortunately, he doesn't have the same character as a Tim Tebow. It's horrible to say that.
Not a godly aspect, but this is a touchy subject because he didn't really do anything where he was a bad human being. He was just sticking up for the rights of others. Now, I think the biggest thing that he screwed up on was the whole like fucking wearing that Castro t-shirt, whatever happened with that shit when he was in Florida or whatever. I don't think that was a good move on his part, but
yeah.
Other than that,
yeah, it is what it is, and Joe and I don't necessarily see 100% eye to eye. I can, and this is what I like. We can respect each other enough to say, okay, this is your view, this is my view, and we respect each other's view, and we don't have to be dicks about it. There's no way I could do a show with Stephen A. Smith.
I mean, like Colin Cowherd, he's a guy I can't listen to anymore.
Cowherd.
Yeah, he's tough.
I just sometimes I feel like the stuff he talks about is like you're a little bit older than some of us on this show, right? So you saw the same shit we did, and I listen to him sometimes, and I'm like, where are you coming from? Like, how do you rationalize what you're saying right now to your audience?
I stopped listening to him when he basically said everybody that watches wrestling is a redneck. I stopped listening to him when he started back in the day when he used to make fun of wrestling fans for being idiots. So
yeah, just admit he
might be half true on some of that. But
I mean, it's the United States. I mean, back in day, probably territory was
Yeah, but he was saying that's when I lived in Pennsylvania with you guys. This isn't like
I know. I've heard him many a time say that shit. But the funny part is he has had wrestlers on his goddamn show.
Oh yeah, he has.
Hilarious.
He's accepted the wrestling community now. Well, at least the wrestlers, maybe not the community.
Yeah, we're a bunch of rednecks, but you've had wrestlers on your show, bro. Yeah.
Yeah. No, Colin Cowherd's another one. Like, I can take him or leave him at times. Sometimes I think he makes some good points, and other times I'm like, well, what the fuck are you talking about, man?
I don't even really like Skip Bayless, except for he hates LeBron. So like I can handle Bayless because he hates on LeBron a lot. So I can.
Yeah, but then you got to listen to. But then you got to listen to Shannon Sharp love LeBron.
Yes, you have to listen to Shannon Sharp suck LeBron's dick, which is exactly what he's doing. So.
Yeah. Darth Pat, before we move on to the NBA, any thoughts, sir?
You don't want them.
Really? We don't want them?
Well, I don't think we want to go down there because I'm thinking Darth Pat's.
I'm not engaging this.
Yes, you can kind of see the frustration on his face right now. So let's move on to the NBA, and the playoffs have started, which are fantastic because I feel like I can honestly root for the Sixers because the Sixers actually might go somewhere in the playoffs this year.
As long as everybody's healthy.
Yes. So it's looking promising for the Sixers to at least go to the Eastern Conference Finals and maybe go to the NBA Finals. We'll see.
At this point, I want Brooklyn.
They lost today, so.
I know. Which was, I don't know what the hell happened in that game because there was nobody that evidently knows how to play defense because it was this. What was it?
Like 128 to 124 or some shit.
Yeah, it was like ridiculous scoring.
Defense was optional.
Yeah,
Atlanta's sneaking up on people because I really thought the Knicks were going to beat the Hawks. So the Knicks kind of laid an egg in the postseason. So
yes, and how about them Knicks? They actually made the postseason.
On that series. That series is a little toss up for me. I was that could have gone either way for me.
Yeah, but it was just interesting how the playoffs kind of happened.
We can celebrate now, Joe. The Valley. We can celebrate the Phoenix Suns beating LeBron.
Let's take a step back before we get back. Let's take a step back first because we have to talk. We have to talk about kind of how this all happened because we were away for a couple weeks, so we missed to be able to talk about the play-ins to the playoffs because it was
the play-ins. Actually, I think they're. I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it made it a little bit
different spin.
It made it more kind of in a way more like the tournament in the NCAA a little bit, just a little bit.
But it's a different spin on it. It gives you more excitement, and I mean anything can happen at that point. So it's kind of like it's a cool concept to have a play in.
Yeah,
so it gives those extra teams a chance to.
Who's going to get the 7 and 8 spot? Like who's going to get it? So you had the.
It sucked for me watching Golden State choke against the Lakers because they should have won that game, and then watching them get the game to overtime against Memphis, and then they just double team Steph as soon as they inbounded the ball. Two guys went to him, and they're like, "We're gonna make." And I would have done that too. I don't blame them. I would be like, "Fuck this! I'm not letting Steph beat me." But it sucks as a Steph fan watching two guys just go to him, and they're like, "We're gonna make everybody." And there's not enough guys. Klay Thompson's not playing, so there's not enough guys on the team that they're not gonna beat you because they're not gonna make enough shots.
Yeah. So you had the Lakers and the Warriors play. The Lakers won that game.
It was a good game.
So the Lakers secured the 7th spot, and then the 8th spot went to help me out because I didn't
Memphis.
To Memphis, which I'm pretty sure they laid an egg in their play.
Memphis didn't do very well.
I mean, Memphis is John Morant and everybody else. Like John Morant's a star. And then they've got a bunch of other guys in that team that are okay, but John Morant's the star on that team. So
and that's the thing that makes it interesting about the play-in tournament is because it's one game. You win this game, depending. I don't remember all the details, but like if you win, then you get to here, and the losing team gets to go on and play the winner of this, the loser of this team or whatever to get to this spot or whatever it goes. So it's an interesting concept, and it's kind of a cool concept.
Yeah.
To kind of
so 7 and 8 play. So
the 7-8 plays, the winner gets in, the loser plays the winner of the 9-10.
Yeah. So whoever loses the 9-10 is automatically out. The winner gets the second chance to beat the number who to get the number 8.
It didn't matter who won out of Memphis and the Warriors because neither of them are going to beat Utah. But I think that Steph is a person that just the casual NBA fan can sit down and watch Steph play. So because he's fun to watch. So they lost. Morant's a star. He's going to be a star, but he's a different kind of player than Steph is. Steph is like very unique. Trae Young is the only other person, and maybe Damian Lillard. Those are the only two people other than Steph who play that bombing away, and they do that stuff that Steph does. So
So let's go over to East because we had the 2 play-on games in that, and somebody else is going to have to help me with that because I didn't pay attention.
Boston beat the Wizards to get the 7 seed, and then the Wizards beat the Pacers to get the 8 seed. And the Wizards and the Celtics both lost in 4-1 in there. They didn't do much.
And I'm gonna chime in because the Sixers are my team. I must say I fucking absolutely love that shit because I cannot stand fucking Westbrook. I think he's I'm not gonna say overrated because he's one hell of a fucking player. But guess what? I don't give a shit how many fucking triple doubles you have. You can't fucking win in the playoffs.
That's true.
So you can go down as a stat monster, but guess what? You don't fucking win. Yeah, you're still going to make the Hall of Fame because of your stats, but you're still not that fucking that next level player. You're not that next level. I'm sorry.
There was no reason for the dipshit in Philly to throw popcorn on him, but
no, that was fucking highly uncalled for.
What's going on with the fans lately?
Yeah, we have some NBA fan issues in the first round of the playoffs. So.
Yeah, I don't know why that was.
Apparently, a year in quarantine has made everybody
forget how to behave in public.
Yeah,
that was just ridiculous, uncalled for bullshit.
Yeah, I don't. That was fun.
Although it did lead. I told Joe it did lead to a very funny meme that Adam sent me. It was a picture of LeBron laying on the floor holding his leg, and it said, "This is LeBron if he got popcorn thrown on him."
That's awesome. So now we got to go to the West, and we got to talk about our favorite NBA player and his team.
The flop.
Fucking losing, which was just fucking fantastic. It was. I mean, I don't wish for people to lose, but when
yeah, you do.
Okay, so I kind of do.
Yes, you do. We all do because I do.
But when a team gets hyped up, like they made it sound like, okay, when LeBron comes back, there's no fucking stopping the Lakers. The Lakers are going to be dominant. Like nobody will
doesn't matter.
Like he comes back and they it's not like they fucking they jumped up like a whole bunch. I mean,
the other guy on that team who has a new nickname, Street Clothes, he got hurt. So
who's that?
Anthony Davis. Charles Barkley started calling him Street Clothes because he said every time he sees him, he's in street clothes.
And the fortunate, he's a really good player, but he
gets hurt
every year. It's always something.
Well, but, LeBron's getting that way now too.
But the thing is that's going to be their excuse why LeBron didn't go to the NBA Finals because AD got hurt. Oh, really? Is that he needs AD to take them to the finals? You're the GOAT per se. All you GOAT fans, you think LeBron's the GOAT and you need AD to take you to the finals? Now you win it. That's not what a GOAT status is, broskies. It's called put your team on your back like the other GOAT did, and you take them to the NBA Finals. Do what you're supposed to do. Not sit there and walk off the court early like you did the other day too. Because I
stayed up to watch the end of that game because I was like, I'm making sure the Lakers lose before I go to bed because Devin Booker came out like a house on fire that night and scored like 20 points in the first quarter, and I'm like, Booker
was in fuego, bro.
That's a pretty good first playoff series to average 30 points in your first playoff series in the NBA. That's pretty impressive to do that over 6 games to average 30 points. So
Phoenix scared me a little bit when they were down, and I'm like, oh god, please, I can't deal with this shit no more. And they came back, and I watched that game. I was like, just finish that tonight, please.
Even though it was kind of dickish, I did chuckle when Jay Crowder did the salsa in front of LeBron and then knew he was going to get ejected and just ran back to the locker room.
that was dickish. I thought it was funny.
But he knew it.
He was caught in the.
He knew it.
Caught in LeBron.
He ran, as soon as he did it, he just ran back to the locker room, Jeremy, because he knew he was going to get ejected. He didn't care.
Well, I saw the meme that went with that because they show him doing the salsa and then they show the commercial that LeBron's in as the salsa king. I'm like, oh my god! And like, what do you look?
The reason why he did it,
like he's it shows me something about LeBron. Like, as good as a player LeBron is, and as good a humanitarian, he's doing shit for fucking money. Like, he is legit doing shit for fucking money. Like, and nobody can tell me fucking different. He might be using that money for good causes, but he's literally doing shit for fucking money. Like, I gotta find that whole commercial about the Salsa King, but there's no doubt it's got to be. It's all about money. It got
a little bit chippy at the end of that game because with like 30 seconds left or 30, like Booker dunked, and it was like the Lakers were mad at him because he dunked on that breakaway, and it's just like, and then they got chippy. I thought Booker was going to get thrown out. Booker thought he got ejected. Like after he did that because it got chippy, and I kind of like Booker because he's got a little bit of an edge. Like whereas I think Steph is kind of a pretty boy, and there's no edge to Steph, really. Booker's got a little bit of an edge. Like, he stands up for himself because he got ejected from another game for hard fouling somebody. So, but it got chippy at the end of that. And then LeBron doesn't shake hands with anybody, leaves the court, so this is after the game before that. He left the court 5 or 6 minutes before the game was over. So he was nowhere near the bench at the end of game 5. So he leaves the bench. I don't remember what his coach's bullshit reason was for why he left the bench. It was horseshit. And then after game 6, he doesn't shake anybody's hands. They show him immediately going back to the locker room. Everybody else is on there hugging and giving 5 and talking to each other. He's in the locker room already.
Yeah, okay. So the thing that he tried to do to make up for that is he reached out to Booker later after the game, and he went over and like had a jersey. He took a picture with him with the signed jersey or some jazz like that. I'm like, great. I don't care. Like, go talk to the young kid. That's great. But it's like Jalen Rose and some of the other people were like, did not like the fact that he did that. Just like, I'm sorry. Like this cements. I don't want to hear a fucking word from anybody ever again that he's the GOAT. They can all shove it up their ass. I don't give a shit. So Sharp can do it. And fucking Kendrick Perkins, he's another one. They just praise him like he's fucking God's gift to green earth. They can both go fuck themselves.
So Joe, I don't know if you saw the press conference after, because I know AJ does not remember what the coach said, but do you remember what the coach said as far as LeBron's reason?
I didn't. I stopped watching it because it was just gonna be bullshit.
Supposedly at the end of
bullshit.
I heard that he had to start some kind of treatment for his ankle, and I'm like, okay, so we're doing that when there's 6 minutes left in the game, when you're getting blown, when you're getting waxed, like. You don't do that. You don't go start your treatment. You can start it when the game's over. They were down by 30 or whatever at that point, and it was embarrassing. Like that was an embarrassing game for the Lakers team and fans to get waxed like they did in Game 5. That game was over at the end of the first quarter. So,
and then there was no fight. Like they didn't. The problem is like, I know Magic Johnson recently said some interesting things about Dennis Schrader. Probably not coming back to the Lakers, or they shouldn't re-sign him because he's not a Laker, and various other things. But it's just like, I don't care if you're losing by 30. You know, it's funny because the Bulls played Portland, and I don't remember if it was Game 5. They were down by like 21 or 23 points.
They put the bench in, and Jordan was waving the towel on the bench.
Yeah. Like, they put the bench in. Phil Jackson took all the starters out, and he put
the
bench in. And Bobby Hansen and that group started they were like, we're not giving up on this game yet. And they played their asses off, and they brought it down to, I think, like 7 or 8. And then Phil looked at the bench and said, if I put you guys in there, you better fucking finish the game. So he put the majority of the starters back in there. I think he kept Bobby Hansen out there with Jordan. But they ended up winning the game. Like that is like, to me, that's what you do. If you're on the bench, you just sit there lay back, and you see all the NBA players now that kind of say, "Yeah, we're gonna blow it up at 30. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, well, tomorrow night. What are we gonna do after the game? Go to the bar after the game?" It's like, it's playoff time. It's like if you want to win the NBA title, you don't just sit there and do shit like that. Like Jordan's
they won it last year. They don't need to win it again.
All them guys are Horace Grant's on the bench. They're like cheering on. Like the bench started playing well, and they're cheering on the bench. They're like, they call a timeout, and Portland call a timeout. The whole bench comes over, and Jordan's like in their ear. Phil Jackson's talking, Pippen's talking to two guys. That's a team right there, being led by their leader. Doesn't matter if he's on the bench or not.
There's also the other piece of this is LeBron, Father Time is coming. Like, you get old. There's not anything anybody can do about it. It just happens. It's not anybody disrespecting him at this point, but he looks like he's a step slower, and he's 30. He's going to be 37 when the NBA season starts. So Father Time is starting to catch up to LaFlop a little bit, and there's nothing he can do about it. Nobody can change that. Like, he's going to digress. It's going to happen in the next 2 or 3 years. He's going to digress, and the other players are going to have to be. And we already talked about, and I hate making fun of a player I like, but I like the nickname. So we already talked about Street Clothes, and he gets hurt. That's what he does. He gets hurt. He's gotten hurt every year. Like, and I even said it to somebody, and I was probably joking, but I said, Davis is going to get hurt in the postseason this year, and it happened because he gets hurt. That's what happens to him. He's one of the best players in the NBA when he's on the court and he's playing, but he gets hurt every year.
So I got to ask you, AJ, so how soon after the Suns won did you go out and buy that shirt?
I bought this shirt before the season started. These are the coolest. These are the coolest Phoenix uniforms I've ever. These are the best Phoenix uniforms they've had in 20 years.
When did you become a Phoenix Suns fan, though?
Devin Booker.
He likes
He's a Kentucky.
For Devin Booker. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a Kentucky guy.
I support all my Kentucky players. Okay. So
I was a little curious. I'm like,
It's all about Booker. It's all about Booker with me. And I like DeAndre Ayton because he went to Arizona. But it's the college kids.
Okay. So
he puts up with Chris Paul just because of Devin Booker.
But yeah,
I mean, I don't like him, but he made big shots in that game. Like, he was that guy that when they needed somebody to make a shot, so they stopped turning the ball over. Chris Paul was the guy that did it the other night to put the game away, essentially.
And that's his main purpose of being. His main purpose of being signed by that team to help the young guys, and he's doing what he needs to for them.
Yeah, and you know what?
Legit is.
Going back to LeBron, not shaking hands, leaving 6 minutes early. The 6 minutes early is fucking ridiculous. Like, I've never seen any of the players that I grew up watching leave a fucking game 6 minutes before the game's over. Legitimately hurt. Yes. Like, legit hurt. They all sat on the bench until the end of the game. Now, they might have decided not to shake hands because they were just like, I'm fucking embarrassed. Whatever. Like, it's the NBA. I know teams are not going to always shake hands. The Celtics didn't shake hands with the Pistons when the Pistons finally beat them. And the Pistons didn't shake hands with the Bulls when the Bulls finally beat them. That kind of shit happens, so I expect that. But if your whole fucking team is out there shaking hands and you fucking walk away as an individual...
Your star player of your team.
That's fucking different. Like, if the Bulls all shook hands and Jordan said, fuck you, I'm out... Everybody would be looking at Jordan. I would look at Jordan much differently.
Oh, they would look at him and be like, "You're a fucking dick."
Yeah. So it's a different way of handling it. Like, there has been too many times in LeBron's career, and this is not to shit on LeBron. This is just to point out facts. There's been too many times in his career where he has put on his diaper and acted like a baby, and that's just. It's inexcusable, and people can make excuses all they want, but honestly, it's inexcusable because you would never, anybody else that did that shit, any NBA player, old NBA player, current NBA player, upcoming NBA player, would all be crucified and ridiculed for doing that same exact shit. And nobody's going to be able to tell me different because it's a fucking fact. Because you hear it all the fucking time when somebody else does something wrong. But when LeBron does it, it's like it's okay because it's LeBron. No, it's not okay because it's LeBron. I don't care how good of a humanitarian he is and how well he shows, he represents the league. He's still a fucking human. He still has to be held accountable for being the kind of human that he is at times on the fucking court. Like,
yeah. We also had dipshit Kyrie Irving stomping all over the logo in Boston after they beat them in the series. Like, this is a team that he played for, that he wanted to go to 3 years ago. He stomped all over the logo and pissed Kevin Garnett and a lot of Celtics legends off by doing that. That's childish.
Yeah, I didn't get the whole point of that. Like,
he's a dipshit. Kyrie's a dipshit.
Trying to stick up for Kyrie Irving and saying it's not that big a deal. I don't know. I didn't see it. I only read a headline about it. I didn't actually read the whole story because I wasn't interested in it. Because I don't have any interest in Kyrie Irving.
I was like, is this a Terrell Owens, moment on the Dallas Cowboys star? I mean, Jesus,
I remember when that happened because he got jacked up when he did that shit. I
was just kind of like, what was the sense? I mean, I don't know. I just don't understand it.
Kyrie is probably the single biggest piece of shit in the NBA right now, so that's part of the reason why. So,
well, I'm waiting for that team to not to lose because
I want them out. I want them out. That's the team I want out at this point. If some team that's never won, if Utah wins or somebody like, I just don't want Brooklyn to win at this point. I can probably stomach anybody else winning at this point other than Brooklyn.
Yeah, well, and the thing with Brooklyn is, and more particularly Kyrie Irving, is that you don't hear a whole lot about Kyrie Irving and wanting to play basketball. He's playing basketball, but it sounds like he wants to go off and do fucking missions and save the world more than play basketball. Well, if that's the case,
find out if the earth is flat.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, well, if he really doesn't want to be there, like, is he just showing up because the contract says he has to? Sounds like it might be that way.
No, he's going to need to because Harden got hurt. He has a hamstring issue, so let's see how long he's out for that.
And there's another guy. Father Time's catching up with that dude, too. Like, he's not young anymore either.
He's another guy that just tends to disappear in the postseason. That's been James Harden's MO also.
Yes. And then you got Kevin Garnett, who's definitely getting slower. Kevin Durant, not Garnett. I love Kevin.
Durant had a good season. I don't want them to win because I don't want him to win anywhere else. So I don't want Durant to get any more rings anywhere else.
So you got Durant, who's definitely getting older, and I've still never understood how that dude is so good. Like I've been his career has always boggled my mind because he's like, when you look at him, he looks like he would be the most awkward fucking dude playing basketball. He's so goddamn skinny. You would think, but because he doesn't play the inside really, and he shoots more of a perimeter shot and threes, like his body size has never become an issue for him. It's just odd. Like, it's so weird.
He's a 6'9" guy that can play all the positions. Like, he's got the best handles for a guy that's that tall we've probably ever seen. So like he's like not your typical. He's like that one of these guys that we're never going to see anybody like him again in our lifetime. He's a very unique player because he does, especially when he was in college, he was really thin. Like he needed to
super thin in Texas.
He beefed up enough when he got to the NBA, but you're right, Jeremy. He doesn't really. But those couple years he played with the Warriors, he was a really good defensive player those years too. So he wasn't just an offensive guy. He played really good. But the Warriors during that tenure, during that years where they were a really good defensive team, like the whole team. So Durant kind of bought in to it when he was there. He now plays for a team that plays offense and no defense again.
Yeah, which is weird because Blake Griffin, if I remember correctly, Blake Griffin's actually a really good defender too.
Was.
Yeah, he was.
Now he's kind of a shit, like he's not what he used to be. So
yeah.
Listen, I'm fine with Milwaukee or Philly coming out of the East, and I want to see one of the. I would be fine if the Clippers made it in the West. But I would like to see one of the young guys take his team to the NBA Finals in the West.
I mean, it would be funny.
I want to see something different. I want to see something Just totally different.
Everybody that's left, nobody's really won. Like anytime recently, nobody that's left has won a championship in the last 20 years. I don't think the Sixers are the last team that won a championship that's left, and that was in the 80s.
Yeah.
So the Jazz have never won. The Suns have never won. So Milwaukee won one when me and you were really little kids, I think, Joe. So it's the Clippers. How funny would it be if the Clippers win and the Lakers don't, and all those Lakers fans are like, "Oh, I'm a Clippers fan now."
Wow, there'll be bandwagon jumping there. So here we go. The Floyd Mayweather-Logan Paul fight is going to be starting shortly because Logan Paul just came out to the ring. Looking at my live feed here.
All right.
So not watching it live feed, but just an update feed here.
So
I'll see him get knocked out.
Is there any worthwhile baseball news, sir? Anything that's happened recently that's is newsworthy?
Or anything you feel is newsworthy?
Yes.
Yeah.
No. Baseball sucks.
Right now, it does. I mean, I've always been one of these people who doesn't find baseball boring, and when people whine about various things in baseball, I basically say, "Oh, just shut the fuck up and deal with it." Baseball's not very entertaining for me right now. Now, part of that, of course, is the Yankees don't know how the fuck to hit the ball. But a lot of it's also that I just have other shit going on right now, and so they don't really have my full undivided attention. But I'll tell you this: I've seen some things over the last week or so that you're going to have to get robo-umps sooner than later.
Robo-umps?
Yeah, he's not lying about that.
At least for ball strike calls, because I've seen some fucking horrid calls lately, and apparently there was just another one just in the ninth inning of the Yankees-Red Sox game a little while ago where this is the square for the the strike zone and everything, and a guy called the third strike on the Yankee hitter that ended the ninth inning and sent into extra innings. That was here. The pitch was here. The edge of the strike zone was here. Called it a fucking strike.
I saw a guy from Arizona, a relief pitcher, throw a ball. 2-2 count. He threw a ball that the catcher, catching with his left hand, legitimately had to go over and reach for. And the ump called a strike 3. I was like,
Did the batter instantly turn around and hit the umpire with his bat?
The batter looked at him like he gave him the what the fuck look. And he started chirping in his ear, and they kind of went back and forth. And then the manager came out, wherever Arizona's manager is. But I was just like, I turned the game on to watch it before I think the White Sox game came on, and I was just like, holy shit. But I've seen Pat's right. There's the umps this year have been. Some games have been fucking horrendous. Just pitches I'm watching, I'm like, wow, you guys are calling them strikes. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah. The only other thing is that they're wanting to do something about trying to cut down on pitchers doctoring baseballs. I don't know if they're thinking that pitchers applying substances to the balls is a way to explain why offense is down this year. And I already know why offense is down this year. It's because they went and they changed the fucking ball again. They said they were going to do that because, the bitching over the last 2 years was, there's just too many home runs. It's like, oh, God forbid there's too many home runs and that people are scoring runs once in a while. But, there's been balls that I've seen hit a lot this year that off the bat I'm like, that's gone. And it doesn't even get to the fucking warning track. So you're not going to convince me they didn't dead in the fucking baseballs, but can't fix that in the middle of the year. So, I think baseball's got some big problems on the horizon. I mean, we'll see. I mean, as more and more teams start allowing, full capacity fans back in, I mean, let's see if they're getting the attendance numbers, but they have a lot of issues about the quality of the game now, which I honestly do think that they need to address sooner rather than later. And, of course, their, the collective bargaining agreement ends after this season, and the negotiations for that are going to be very contentious, and it would not surprise me. And I think I've said it before, I fully expect there to be some kind of a labor stoppage. Now, whether or not it actually spills into next season is another story, but I fully expect that they will not come to a new agreement before the current one ends, which by definition means that there's a work stoppage. So.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. It'll be interesting. I think one of the things that needs to change in baseball is, and I shouldn't say change, needs to happen more often, is guys hit for in-play balls, like trying to put the ball in play. I think one of the things that I've heard a lot is, I know I've heard a lot is that there's so many strikeouts because guys are trying to hit the home run. More and more guys are just trying to go for the home run ball. And it's like, not everybody is a fucking home run hitter. Like, some guys just have to put the ball in play. Like, you get enough guys that start putting the ball in play, you don't need the home run every time. You can get guys around the base on singles and doubles and still win ball games. And that makes the game more fun anyways, to see guys put balls in play and then see them run the bases. Home runs are exciting, but they're supposed to be the non-norm. They're not supposed to be the norm. The ball in play is supposed to be the norm. And then have the guy that hits the home run, like you get 1, 2, and 3, or 1 and 2, or one guy on base, and you get to your number 4 hitter, number 5 hitter, and that's the guy that hits the home run. Or at least that's the way it used to be. But lineups change and stuff. But nobody seems to want to just hit for on base. Everybody wants to see, like, I got to knock it out the park. Got to put that home run ball out there.
Well, a lot of teams struggle.
I think it's also a little bit more than just players swinging for the fences. It's the way that pitchers are used now. They, very rarely do you see starting pitchers face the lineup a third time in, full, because there's so many guys. I'll show you the stats breakdown. Like, first time through the order, great. Second time through the order, not as great. Third time through the order, terrible. So they're taking these guys out before they face the order a third time, and they're bringing in relief pitchers. And everybody throws 98 now. So
that's the other thing.
Yeah, they're talking about moving the mound back. That was one of the things I heard too.
That's something that they're experimenting with in one of, I think, the independent leagues. I guess the theory there, and I originally said, yeah, sure, great, do it. Let's just find out. I think the theory was, by moving the mound back a foot, it'll give players a little bit more time to try to identify the pitch. Because, again, when I'm saying that, I don't think it's just guys swinging for the fences. Some of the Yankees games I've watched over the last few days, it's just like, when they take pitches, or when that are like right down the middle, or when they swing at pitches that, are breaking balls, and they break so badly that, they bounce in the dirt, 5 feet before home plate, and they fucking swing at it. So it's just like, is your pitch recognition that fucking terrible that you couldn't tell that ball was going to break, or that, you were surprised that he threw you the dead center fastball instead of throwing you something else, or whatever. So, but anyways, moving the mound back, I guess the theory, like I said, is that their hitters have more time to identify the ball. One of the baseball writers who I follow and read his stuff, he says it's just going to lead to more pitcher injuries. And I said to myself, oh, yeah, it probably will. Because
they got to throw that extra foot. It's not
pitchers now have to overcompensate to throw the ball an additional foot, and that's like, you think, well, they're already throwing it 60 feet as it is, and it's like, yeah, and again, how many times do they bounce breaking balls in front of the plate to get guys to chase and shit like that? So
you're going to see a lot more of that in breaking balls now, or they're not going to be able to throw as many breaking balls. They're going to be fucked. Like the changeup, they'll still be able to throw. But curves and sinkers and all that stuff, good luck. You're going to have injuries off that.
Yeah, so I still think that it's worth looking into. It's worth trying to get some actual real data, and I'm glad that they're trying to take some steps to do some things like this, because it's like, you can sit there and go back and forth all day about, well, I think if we do this, it'll be better. Well, I think if we do this, it'll be better. Like, now that you're actually trying things, and even it's an independent league, so the quality of play is obviously not the major leagues.
Yeah.
It's at least going to give you some actual data that you can use, and you can try to make better decisions on. So,
yeah,
we'll see what happens there.
All right. So anything else that anybody wants to talk about?
Well, today was D-Day, so hats off to all those brave men who stormed those beaches, close to 80 years ago now. And unfortunately, since we're that far away, precious few of them are still with us. But I always go back to watching the opening scene of Saving Private Ryan. So I'm trying to imagine what it was possibly like to be there that day. You really can't. So
no war we've ever been in has got something we can really want to imagine or try
the men who landed on those beaches that day are obviously some of the best men that ever were, so.
Especially the ones that were able to survive that. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, there was a lot of lives lost that day.
So another small tidbit. Today is June 6th. And 2 days from now will be June 8th. And June 8th is the 1-year anniversary of us posting our first show that we recorded on YouTube. Woo-hoo!
We've been doing this for a year already?
I know. Yipper. And we haven't kicked you off yet. It's amazing.
hey. You will never kick
ever?
Me
off. Ever?
Because I'll quit first.
I think we recorded the show, I believe, 4 or 5 days beforehand, but we posted it on June 8th on YouTube.
I was gonna say I'm sure we recorded it before we posted it. So
yeah, we did. I think it was like 4 or 5 days beforehand. Yeah, June 8th. I was just randomly on our YouTube channel the other day, a couple weeks ago. I was like, oh shit, we're coming up on a year. Because I was curious. I couldn't remember. I knew it was like June-ish, but I didn't know. So I looked it up. June 8th.
I'm going to the SmackDown in Cleveland. I got tickets.
Nice. Enjoy yourself.
Are they? Is it going to be like full capacity, or is there still going to be distancing?
I think it's full capacity.
Well, when is this show anyway?
July 23rd. So.
Yeah, I mean, I went to the movies last weekend, and they're still distancing somewhat, and they did just
they are.
I think like last weekend, at least at the theater, here by me, they changed the mask policy, and they said if you're fully vaccinated, you don't have to, to wear the mask now. So
I bought tickets. I bought tickets for Fast 9, and they put an X in the seats next to the three of us. There's like a seat on each side.
Right.
Yeah,
well, what
still doing that down here too.
What they had been doing the couple times I went to the movies since the pandemic started, which was like 3 or 4 times now, I think only. So like I go with my dad. So me and my dad buy we buy 2 tickets, and what they were doing was like the seats to either side, and then all 4 seats in front of us. So like the 2 seats directly in front of us and like the 2 seats in diagonally in front of us would get X'd out. When we bought tickets for the movie we went and saw last week, they just X'd out the seats to the left and the right of us, so not in the front anymore. So it's like, that's fine. Again, I mean, because I'm fully vaccinated, I'm not really sweating it too much anymore because, hey, we all went through all this shit and everything. And, if people are going to pretend that they're not vaccinated or whatever, obviously screw you. But there's no real great way to do it or anything like that. But I just want to kind of throw this in real quick. I had purchased the tickets for the movie. We once saw Quiet Place 2. I purchased the tickets either like the Monday or the Tuesday before the week, and right before we were going to leave for the theater on Friday, I went and I went back into the app to check the ticket to see where our seats were, and all of a sudden it was saying it showed like our seats number, which were in like row T, because I always sit in the very back row because I don't like blocking people's view and I just like being in the back.
That's where I usually sit too.
Yeah. But it said like row T, and it said theater 13, and I said, wait just fuck a minute. I know the theater that I go to well enough to know which theater which is, and I know that in theater 13, it does not go up as high as row T. And when I went back into the ticket selection screen to like see the seating chart. Yeah, sure enough, it was one of the small theaters that's there, and like almost every seat was filled. And I said, "What in the fuck happened?" So I said to myself, I said, "Dad, I'm not doing this." And so I canceled our tickets, and then I bought tickets for the following night, and we went then. So when we got to the theater then on Saturday, I made sure we got there early enough. So because I wanted to talk to somebody. I want to be like, "What the fuck gives you? You're fucking moving the theater after people have bought tickets." What they told me, and there was 3 guys there who were all telling me the same thing, and I don't think they'd make up quite this elaborate a story, was that like the server that runs the projector in 2 of the larger theaters like broke down during the week to the point where they couldn't fix it and they had to like order a new one. So those theaters they couldn't show anything in those theaters. Okay. So they had to move everything, and they had. It was like, a bad situation and everything. So I'm like, all right, this just sounds like too elaborate to be like, to be, fake basically. So they're like, we hope that will be fixed by F9. And I'm saying to myself, well, I don't give a shit about F9, but since it is like one of the biggest theaters and that's the biggest screens that they have there. Yeah, I hope they do get it fixed, because that's the theater I actually like going to, because we ride up the elevator to the top and then only have to walk up like 3 rows to get to the very top row there. So, and it's just the biggest theater.
Elevator?
Yeah.
An elevator?
Yeah.
Which movie theater is this?
The one at the Promenade Shops.
They put an elevator in the fucking movie theater now?
It's always been there as far as I know.
I've never been to that movie theater.
Yeah, I've been to that movie theater. I don't remember no fucking elevators.
You weren't necessarily looking for it either, though, Joe.
No, not elevators. Elevator, one, singular.
I've still never seen a fucking elevator.
No, it services like, there's like, when you walk in that theater, there's like 5 screens to the left and like all the rest are to the right. So the elevator's on the one to the left, and it only takes you up to like 4 of those screens. Like only like 4 of those theaters like have an elevated like second floor door.
I usually always sit like when you walk in and there's that like the handicapped people sit. I usually sit like a couple rows behind them. That's where I always usually sit. When I was younger, I used to sit all in the back. Let's fuck that shit. I like sitting like there because I think for me it's kind of like eye level. It's right in front of me. It's not too low or not
you
too
sit
high
in the
up.
very back of the theaters for makeout time when you're a kid.
Yeah.
Right. Now that's just where me and Pat prefer to sit. That's where I always get my tickets in the last row in the middle.
Yeah, I like sitting where it's like in bad view. Works. I don't
like having.
I'm pretty sure. Didn't you and I, Joe? Didn't you and I sit there to see the first Star Wars movie when it came out?
Yeah. I don't like having people behind me. I think that's part of it, because then I think people have acted like dipshits behind me before. And it's probably made it where I don't like people behind me.
The thing now is, like, I don't know what the theaters are like up there, but the theaters down here, especially the AMC ones, the one Regal like redid their stuff 2 years ago, but we have the reclining leather seats.
Right, and that's the only seat that's the only theater I will go to now. It's a recliner seat one.
And the space between where my seat is and the person behind me or even in front of me is enough space where they ain't gonna annoy the shit out of me. So I'm just kind of like, I just put everything up and I'm like, just make sure I don't fall asleep.
I won't even go to a theater if it doesn't have recliner seats at this point. Fuck that.
Hey, yeah, you guys are like a bunch of spoiled ass bitches. I have a reclining seat, but I can't fucking sit
there. My feet up, man. I go to the one that has a bar too. Fuck that shit.
I've only been to theaters with reclining seats twice. Like when my parents, my older sister went over to a theater in Jersey to meet up with my younger sister, my niece, to see Mary Poppins Returns a year or 2 ago. It was in an AMC theater, and it had the reclining.
That was a good movie, actually.
I didn't really like him in that theater because I felt like that when I like reclined my seat, like my feet were hitting up against the thing in front. Now the AMC that I go to, they recently converted one of their screens to one with reclining seats, and my dad and I sat there a month or 2 ago, and Great. I thought it was pretty good. Of course it costs more, but yeah.
I mean, I guess the AMC I've been going to for 6 years, it's been recliner seats the whole time there. So
yeah, well, you got to remember this was also not originally an AMC. You know, when they first built it, it was Rave was the company,
right.
and then they sold.
I was there. I was there when it was called that. I was at the theater then. Yeah,
and so then they sold to Carmike, and I don't know if Carmike does the.
They didn't, and Carmike is
reclining seat stuff, and then AMC bought Carmike. So
AMC has been renovating the Carmike slowly but surely. Like the one that was an AMC, and they sold it because they couldn't have it anymore because it was going to be a monopoly because there was no other within a certain mile radius. There was not another competing theater. That one was already, because it was originally an AMC. That one was already renovated to all like served food, had the reclining seats and all that stuff.
That was the one off Tillman Street in Allentown?
Yeah, the one off of Tillman Street, yeah.
Yeah, I've never been to that one because Tillman Street's too far for me.
Yeah, there's one AMC theater by me that was.
It's amazing that I drive to the Promenade shop, but
it's a different kind of drive.
The theater that's on Airport Road pissed us off with their shit service and other stuff, and the Regal, which is the closest theater to me, unfortunately, that theater is so old now, 25 years, that, not all of the screens are stadium screen. And I basically refuse to go watch something that's not on a stadium screen now. So
I didn't realize that you, Pat, you're not sitting in the recliners. Like I said, I've been doing that for like 6 years. I can't even imagine going to a regular theater anymore.
I know.
Well, like I said, they only just put that reclining theater in within like the last 6 months to a year. So I've only had
6 years.
I've really only had the chance to sit in that one.
Yeah,
so.
and see, here's the thing. Here's the big difference. Like, I'm making fun of you guys because I think it's hilarious because I don't really go to the theater very often. Where AJ's like going to the fucking theater all the time.
I mean, not during COVID, but before that, yes, I was going pretty regularly. So
I just laugh. If I was going as much as you, I'd probably be like, I want a reclining seat. It's much more comfortable, Because
when I moved, go ahead.
No, I didn't have anything else to say.
When I moved down here like 3 years ago, the Regal by me had the leather seats. And they were spaced apart and reclined. And then the AMC that I used to go to had the same thing. There was one that I went to the one time before I moved down here. I came down here for training and whatnot. And when the Star Wars movies came out and I went to see it by myself, that was kind of like, it was an older theater that had like the normal seats, but the Carmike down the road from me, AMC had bought that and just renovated every single theater. Every single theater has the reclining seats with the heat, little heaters. Heat my little ass. It's a little cold in the movie theater. I don't care. It's fucking great.
My balls are warm. That's nice.
And they put the one that they renovated, put a bar in there. Those are great too. The bar ones, and the Eden ones. I went to one of those one time.
Next thing you're going to hear, Matt's going to be like, I went to the movie theater. I had a reclining seat. They had a lady coming around giving back massages. So I got a shoulder massage while I get watching my movie.
That'd be great.
I mean, there are other things that would be sweet if they did for Pat at the movie theater. So
some popcorn and a blowjob, sir.
No,
while I watch Star Wars, of course.
I'm sure it's going to take them a while to. If they even have plans to like renovate any more of those screens.
Jesus. That's like, it's going to take them a while to get that in the theater, but I will be going when they do.
That's not what I was talking about. I was ignoring what you said as always.
I know.
He always ignores all of our sexual innuendos.
It was just funny because you kept on going with it. I'm like, oh my God.
We inferred from what you said, Pat, that's your dream movie theater scenario. Star Wars and a blowjob? Yes!
I see. I just don't think that those two things really go together.
Why? You could be
wait until you're in the situation, Pat, because you will have already seen said Star Wars movie probably 20 times. So I'm sure at that point you would be like, all right, well, in this case, yes.
Come on. He's got, but like the perfect scenario.
You gotta remember, of course.
Here we go. Jeremy's going to give us the perfect scenario for Pat. Here we go.
Star Wars is relatively sex-free, and everything. And you remember, again, Jedis are not supposed to, get involved and blah, 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 blah. So, I mean, I just don't know if the two things matter.
Tomato.
Oh, I got a visitor. I think this is where we have to say goodnight. Come here, Bubba.
Oh, and you're definitely probably not giving your Pat scenario right now.
No. I'm going to keep it PG.
Oh my
right
God,
now.
Jeremy! Isn't it a school night? You let your child stay up this late.
No, he was asleep and he woke up. He must have had a little rough night. So, all right. Well, I'm officially going to call it a night. So
disappointed because we wanted to hear your Pat scenario.
Well, that is to be continued. You'll have to tune into the next episode for that.
For a future episode.
It'll be great. All right. God. For the Four Guys Roundtable show, we're going to say thanks for watching. We appreciate everybody tuning in. No matter where you're seeing this, we appreciate it. Tell a friend. If you're catching on YouTube, like, comment, share everything on that video. We just really appreciate everybody watching and getting a chuckle out of that, out of our ridiculous show and the things that we talk about. We hope you're entertained. And as always, we're going to say good evening, good morning, and good afternoon, and we'll catch you on the next episode.